Welcome to Off Grid Victory. So this isn't the normal video that I do. We do live off grid. We live kind of, well, not totally separated from society, but we try to separate ourselves as much as possible. And of course, we do have to go into the world once in a while. And so this video is about something that I've been seeing a trend in this country and elsewhere. And what it may represent. So here it is. So yeah, it's this guy right here. So what is this? This is a free mask that's given out at a lot of retailers. Sometimes they're referred to as surgical masks, and this is kind of the representation of things in this country and elsewhere in the world that's kind of gone awry. Now, this is by no means medical advice, but this video is about how to properly dispose of these guys once they're used. This one I think is new, but we'll go into that in a little bit. But anyway, how to dispose of it, and here it is. Right here, right into the fire. And so yeah, fire cleans. And I know some medical professionals would disagree about the way I just got rid of that, but yes, that is one way, not the way, but one way. But at any rate, I want to talk to you about what that mask represents. Now, I've been a medical professional for a number of years, and I have friends who are doctors, even surgeons, they do wear these masks, and usually it's to protect their patients and themselves from large particulates like blood, spit, saliva, that sort of thing, because viruses do travel on large particulates, but they can also be airborne and travel on their own as well from most medical literature. So the effectiveness of these masks can be argued either way, but there are some people like myself and others who are medically exempt from these masks because of what they can do to us physically as well as psychologically, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. I live here out in the woods, kind of in a homestead, off grid, and we live a pretty quiet and peaceful life, and we are strong believers in the Father, and we have faith, and we do believe that we were wonderfully created and designed. And so, we were even known before we were conceived, right? So, with all that said, part of the mask is an issue of exhalation, in my viewpoint, because, we have ways to excrete toxins and materials that are used in our bodies out, right? I mean, we go to the bathroom, number one. Number two, we sweat. And we breathe. We intake, outtake. We intake the air, oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, you get it. And then we exhale carbon dioxide, right? And some air as well as some, oxygen too with all of that. But that is exhalation. It's stuff that the body is trying to get rid of. And what the mask does, obviously, is retain that back into you. And so, once again, this is not medical advice. This is one of those things that's not going to be monetized. It's on my channel just because I kind of felt in my heart to do this video based on the Holy Spirit. So, here's the whole thing about those masks. It definitely is a way to control and dominate society. I mean, you look at the fruits, you look at what has happened in the last couple years with countries, economics being devastated, small businesses forced to close, people more going towards the socialistic system of government welfare, even though there are plenty of jobs out there. But once again, without a mask, you can't even get those jobs, or pretty soon without, the jab and things like that. And so I wanted to talk to you about that today. That mask represents a symbol of tyranny. It's the fruit that comes out of it, and the fruits are rotten. I mean, as a former medical professional, I'm not against masks at all. I think people should wear them in the settings that they were designed for. And if you're really that concerned about viruses, pretty much most of the masks out there don't work for that purpose. I mean, if you really want something as good as it can get, you want a basically a nuclear, biological, and chemical mask, and you're going to be wearing that all day long. But at any rate, even that was not designed for that long of a purpose, because obviously we were designed as human beings to breathe in and out and get rid of our contaminants that are within our bodies. So what I wanted to talk to you about is this linkage, right? This mask. And so recently I was able to find through my own research some of the maybe dastardly things that are going on with these surgical masks. There's been some TikTokers, I guess former YouTubers, things like that, that have found these black flat worms inside surgical masks that are activated by our, by our condensation that we breathe out, by that moisture, by that heat, and by even the carbon dioxide that we bring out. And that these worms are actually living organisms that are embedded in these masks, and maybe even some of the test swabs that people are supposed to regularly get at their workplace against this jab of whatever virus, right? And so the interesting thing about that is the worms that they found in these masks are flatworms, not the cylindrical worms that most of us, can get rid of with a couple of common things, even herbal remedies. And the insidious things about them is there are people who have been doing research that have been finding these in a lot of different surgical masks of various types. And what's interesting to me is there's guys like the Great White Hope, that's Donald Trump, by the way, that have cured themselves with their physicians using things like hydrochloroquine, I believe, and guys like Joe Rogan who have cured themselves with ivermectin. And so there's there may be a common linkage here that people aren't even thinking about. And I, as more of kind of the former medical guy, we look for cause and effect. And a lot of the times we kind of don't know what the cause is. We just see the effect and we're trying to treat that effect. And that's how most allopathic kind of medicine works, right? Like, treat the symptoms and never give you a cure. And so with this mask, I kind of see a different side. With these new things coming out where they're kind of embedded with these flatworms, and things like ivermectin, or quote, horse dewormer, is effective against this, quote, virus. Yeah, I mean, do the math. I'm not saying that's what it is. I frankly don't know, and I frankly don't care, but I see the masks coming out all the time. And whether it's my own personal family who wears them, who just kind of can't get it, and especially somebody like myself who is medically exempt from wearing a mask, whether it's through physical trauma, whether it's through psychological trauma. I mean, that's what's going on in this country. I mean, you might as well be ready for the Nazi state, right? Anyway, sorry this video went a little too long. It's more of a rant on my channel. Once again, it's not my norm. If you don't want to watch more of these videos, I perfectly understand. I'm not doing this for viewership. It's more of a public service message from Off Grid Victory. Alrighty, shalom.